There are two seemingly radically different concepts in religious ideas, mythological ideas as well, that have to do with polytheism or monotheism, multiple gods or only one God. And there are some people who are very serious about that. And in the template research, as I go through here, I have to explain that. There are differences. If they're all carrying the template, how can one say we have multiple gods and the other say we only have one God? How do those fit and how do they reconcile on the template? That's an easy one. Once we turn it inward, we're going to make a discovery. All right, first of all, let's talk about what multiple gods do. If we were talking about Greek mythology, what we would find is that there is a higher place to exist from, Mount Olympus in the end, and that there are multiple gods that all live there. And what this represents in the psyche is that this realm is our higher self, our mind, our thoughts, our, the parts of us that know better, that think, that produce, that do good, that do bad. This is Greek myth. It's not religion. This is the part of us that is just living life, our higher being. Our lower being is what's having the experience, our physical self, paying the price, repeated things coming out of us from stored away things, all of those are being parts of us. But the higher self is there, that is in charge of creating life. The higher being represents our consciousness. The God, the main God, represents our consciousness that knows better. All of the other malevolent gods that are, they act sometimes on your behalf and sometimes not, represent parts of us in life that are not doing right. We're drinking, we're acting out, we're doing something here, there, relationships somehow. These represent concepts of us that are not quite on board. There's punishments going on, cyclical, boulders being rolled up hills. These are being built into Greek stories that are meant to teach us about self-healing, that is what is there. The multiple gods represent the idea that we are multiple faceted. How many times do you go, I should not do that? Damn it, I did it again. There, two, right there. You got the God in charge and you've got a malevolent God right there. That's exactly what they're doing. Okay, you go to monotheism and it's like, there's only one God. Is there? You start right off in Genesis and we start seeing the sons of God coming down and the Nephilim giants being here, going into the beautiful or the pure daughters of men, representing the idea that our selves are being taken over by other things. We've got offspring going on inside of us. We're creating parts of us that are not going to be okay. It's holding the same ideas. If it was a true monotheism, there would be a God in charge. That's it. Where do demons, angels, genies, Anunnaki, where do all of these things come from in a monotheism? Yeah, they're all there. The parts are there. The monotheism idea exists mostly for the carrier shell, for the religion itself, for the ark. If you sit back and examine it and say, how can this be on the template and still cover all of the bases? That's what they're doing. Instead of having, just one God with some out-of-control lesser gods, they've got one God and some out-of-control lesser offspring. They're still doing the same thing once we conceptualize it in the psyche. The story is built that way. Let me give an example of what they're doing, actually. I want to read this very quickly. These are verses I've made up. A ship cannot stray from its anchor. That is a true statement. You anchor ship, it just, if the wind blows, it'll sit there or it'll just go around in circles or something like that, huh? Or you cycle around that which you cling to. That goes to a different people. They don't know about ships. They know about the desert, so you give them a different verse. But you see what they're doing? They're both nesting the same idea conceptually. When they make the verses like that, they say something like, it is me hanging on to something. Now create analogous terms to hold that idea. I am a ship that is anchored. I am a dog tied to the backyard. You can create anything you want to that maintains that idea. You can be, later on, the cup that needs to be washed out inside of. What is that? The first two If they're me, if I'm the ship and I need to let go of things, if I don't want to keep cycle around something, I have to let go of it. If I have to wash the inside of my cup out, is why. Mentally and conceptually, we have the same thing going on, and that is to well, anyway, yeah. This was about the monotheism, and you see what they've done? It still contains all of the necessary components to carry the story in a big way. We don't have to have the story that way. You can go to Taoism and Buddhism, the Dhammapada or the Tao Te Ching, something like that, and when you do the interpretation there, that doesn't have all of this big, huge story component for a storytelling culture. It's a lot more concise. Kind of like Jesus' version of Sermon on the Mount or Sermon on the Plain by itself in isolation. Right there contains all of the steps for enlightenment. But in those cases, it's not building all of those component parts. It's about you turning inward. In this case, we've got various parts of us in the stories, and that's it. Okay, that's what I wanted to say in this video. As we go along and continue to explore, and I'm picking through here, I'm just making videos trying to talk about what I find because it helps me learn it better. I don't have anyone else to talk to, so I know sometimes the videos are very cumbersome and difficult to weed through. I look back through some of mine and go, what am I talking about? And I'm still establishing what I'm finding. I'm still figuring it out, and I don't know how to describe it. And I don't think I'm describing it well enough yet to even really get across sometimes. So, yeah, picking away. Anyway, hope the video was fun, and love one another. I'll see you in the next one.